What's going on, guys, and welcome to my channel. And in this video I'm going to go over what weapons I think you should be bringing into the final shape. Now we've only got a few weeks left, so now is the time to get everything prepped for our battle against the Witness. But before we start, if you find yourself enjoying the video, tap that like button, and if you are new here, don't forget to subscribe. So first up, in a recent blog, Bungie gave us an update on some changes coming to weapons in the final shape, and with that comes nerfs and buffs. So this list has been slightly updated due to this. I know it can be a pain, but balancing and tuning needs to happen in a live service game to keep things feeling somewhat fresh. So first up are the weapons in the Kinetic slot, and we have the mountain top to start us off. So the mountain top returned with Into the Light and can be obtained by completing runs of Onslaught and also completing the bounty from Hall of Champions Quartermaster R-Site 9940. Now, the mountain top is a micro missile grenade launcher, and not only is it easy to handle, it packs a punch as well and sits in the Kinetic slot, which just makes it even better. It's got good base stats, as we can see here. We've got a blast radius of 95 with a 90 velocity. We've got stability 23, and we've got 73 reload speed with handling 69, with aim assist 75 and a recoil direction of 62. So not bad there. Mine personally is the masterwork version from the bounty, but that's only added to the reload speed. So take some of that off and the reload speed will bring it down, but you are guaranteed that roll by completing the bounty Stranger Danger. So some rolls you should be looking for though are auto-loading holster and recombination, and auto-loading holster and Vorpal. Ambitious Assassin and recombination can be a good one, with high velocity rounds and spike grenades. If you can get any of them, which you can because if you complete the bounty and you go into the Hall of Champions and then you basically activate it at one of the Lord Shack slots, it will give you a better chance of obtaining a mountain top. It's easy to do the Onslaught. You can just go away in matchmaking, you can just keep playing. Best off getting on the level 50 train because you're going to get more chances of better weapons there. But nonetheless, it's a free update and it's easy to obtain. So get grinding for the last couple of weeks, guys. The mountain top is really a good weapon. And sticking with Onslaught, we have the Blast Furnace. So with pulse rifles getting a base 20% buff to damage in PvE and an extra 15% buff to miners, they're going to be real nice to use in a final shape. Now, Blast Furnace is one of my all-time favourites, and the updated version is so good. It's an aggressive burst archetype, so hits hard and has some solid base stats with an impact of 35, nice range at 79, with stability 64, handling 24 and a reload speed of 36. So in the final shape, that impact will sit around 42, so that is a nice little bump, and add the extra 15% on that against miners as well. Roll wise, you're probably going to want to go for Kinetic Tremors and Firefly, Kinetic Tremors and One for All, and Kinetic Tremors and Desperate Measures. I love Kinetic Tremors, but you could also swap out Kinetic for Shoot to Loot, which can come in clutch in higher tier activities, but I do love Kinetic Tremors, and you can get around a 10% buff in damage with it. Firefly is always a nice trait to have if you're hitting headshots, and I also like Desperate Measures as any increase in damage output is worth it. And sticking with pulse rifles, we have one of my most favourite weapons in the whole of Destiny. This is the Outbreak Perfected. I've always loved Outbreak, and I now love it even more due to the updated 0 hour mission where you can obtain it again, but in the form of a craftable weapon. Now this season, with pulse rifles having overload, Outbreak has been especially good dealing with champs. Now, we have a good selection of perks, and the stats are also great as well. When you get precision shots and rapid hits, see the nanites swarm and track down enemies dealing extra damage or taking out lower ranked enemies altogether, adding to why I rate this weapon so much. So looking at the stats, I've included what role I think you should go for over on the perk playground section on Light GG, and this is Extended Barrel, Accurized Rounds and Outlaw, and with that we're going to get a nice bump to our range with 64. Our recoil is at 90, which is nigh on perfect. The impact isn't too bad as well at 27. Now remember, we are getting that buff as well, so that's going to add that up even more with a nice magazine of 35. And we can craft it, making the weapon even better as well. Our exotic perk is the Corrupted Spreads. Now this weapon creates Seether nanite swarms on rapid hits and precision kills. And if you obtain a catalyst, nanites will do more damage. And like I've said, don't forget the 20% buff to damage in PvE along with the 15% to miners. Outbreak is a must have for the final shape. And again, it's totally easy to get. You just run the new 0 hour mission, then it's yours. And then run it again on Legendary. Matchmake, you'll easily do it within a 20-minute time frame. Just an all-round solid weapon. And we've got another Onslaught weapon, which makes this list so good because it's free to all players. So if you're a new player and you're lacking in the weapon department, Get on Onslaught now. Into the Light has been a fantastic update. And this weapon is the Midnight Coupe, and it is one of the best hand cannons in the game right now. Originally from the Leviathan raid, this 140 RPM adaptive frame has been updated with Into the Light and offers some great perk combos. But don't forget to head over to the Hall of Champions to Quartermaster R-Sight 9940 and get the bounty for this as well. And then you'll get the curated roll, which isn't that bad. But the base stats are pretty good as well. We've got an 84 impact, a range of 40, stability of 45, handling of 60, and reload speed of 56, with a recoil direction of 80 and 12 in the magazine. Now in terms of perk combos, I'd be looking for Kinetic Tremors and Explosive Payload or Firefly with Tactical Mag, or you could replace Kinetic Tremors for One for All. Hand cannons have also received a 5% buff to damage against minor enemies as well, making hand cannons, especially the Midnight Coupe, even better coming into the final shape. And moving on, Bungie love it, I love it, and so do most people, so I've got to include it in. But most importantly, the Hung Jury is a solid scout rifle that will serve you well in Grandmasters, raids, and all the other activities. Hung Jury is included in the weapon pool for Onslaught and again has some solid perk combos. Scout rifles have also received a 15% buff to damage against minor enemies, making Hung Jury even better. The base stats are good for a scout as well, with an impact of 62, range is 49, stability 55, handling 50, reload speed 46, with a recoil direction of 75 and a magazine of 16. And in PvE, it has some solid perk combos. You could have Kinetic Tremors and Firefly, Kinetic Tremors and Explosive Payload, Rewind Rounds and Firefly, and Rapid Hit and Firefly. Tactical Mag and Flared Magwell being good options for your magazine as well. With the perk combos, there isn't really a terrible one, it just depends on what you find most fun and suits your play style. If you do like sitting back and just popping heads from afar so you can stay alive, Hung Jury is going to be perfect for you going into the final shape. And last but by no means least is the Scatter Signal, a rapid fire frame fusion rifle, which is honestly one of my favourites in the game, and this is due to the weapon being craftable. Fusion rifles have also benefited from the PvE buffs, getting a 7% increase to base damage, making the Scatter Signal a must-have. The base stats are as follows: a 55 on impact, we've got a 23 on range, stability is 36, handling 52, reload speed 46, recoil 59, and magazine 7. And the perk combos do depend on what you personally like. The best in my opinion is Overflow and Control Burst, but if you really want to lean into a strand build, you could opt for Slice and Control Burst, or Slice and Hatchling with Accelerated Coils being the best battery. A great fusion for your kinetic slot and another must-have for the final shape. So moving on to the energy weapons, first on the list is the Polaris Lance, and this season the Polaris has been top tier due to the seasonal artifacts solar mods, but even without them, this scout rifle is a must-have, and that is partly due to the exotic mod, the Perfect Fifth, and this is precision hits return ammo to the mag. Landing 4 precision hits loads a delayed solar explosive round that scorches targets for your next shot. And if you keep hitting crits, the magazine is basically endless. It's great for dealing with champs and higher tier enemies where you can hit crits, obviously. The base stats are good as well. We've got 67 on the impact, 70 on range, 50 stability, 29 handling, a reload speed of 33. We've also got a recoil of 77, and we've not got a bad magazine size at 14 as well. If you don't have the Polaris, you can acquire it over in the tower at the Monuments of Lost Light, which is situated between the 2 vaults. Another great scout that is also getting a 20% buff in damage to miners. Although splash damage is receiving a 10% nerf, this will still perform really well. Next up is the Indebted Kindness. Now, I absolutely love this, and the Indebted Kindness is the first rocket assisted frame sidearm in the game. That means sidearm fires self-propelled rocket ammunition, projectiles explode on impact for high damage. And honestly, if you don't have this weapon, do yourself a favour and run the Warlord's Ruin dungeon until you get it, because it's an absolute beast. It has a great ammo economy as well as a great perk pool. It's probably my most used weapon, especially for running solo and dealing with champions. The base stats of this are blast radius 35, range 25, velocity 56, stability 48, handling 45, reload speed 28. We've got aim assist of 80, recoil down at 60, but we've got 9 in the mag. And the perk combos you're looking for are beacon rounds and volt shot, impulse amplifier and volt shot, and enlightened action and volt shot. Volt shot is just a great perk for any arc weapon, and because it's a rocket sidearm, beacon rounds give your projectiles tracking after final blows, and impulse amplifier increase projectile velocity and reload speed. It's a must-have for the final shape, and you get a nice 20% buff to damage against minor enemies as well. Next is the Rossarago Adaptive Frame Auto Rifle. This weapon can be easily farmed in Legend Lost Sectors and is a great Void Auto Rifle, which has also received a buff in damage to the tune of 15% against minors. Our base stats are 21 impact, 42 range, 37 stability, 57 handling, 56 reload speed, 68 aim assist, and we've got a magazine of 41 with recoil direction of 47. And some good perk combos with this would be rewind rounds and onslaught, subsistence and onslaught, repulsor brace and onslaught. Now repulsor brace is good with void builds as you get a nice overshield, and subsistence is a solid perk as the less you have to reload the better, and rewind rounds giving you rounds from reserves based on the number of enemies killed is also a good one. Honestly guys, I've used this quite a bit this season. It is a really solid auto rifle, and it's good to be farming the Lost Sectors as well because you can get yourself some high stat armor and some exotics that you might be missing. So get farming them Lost Sectors, you're bound to pick up a decent roll of this. Honestly, it's a really solid weapon. Next up is the Recluse Void SMG. Now this can be obtained by completing Onslaught and the bounty from our site. This was an OP weapon a few years ago before Bungie decided to sunset it along with all the other stuff, but they have brought it back with Into the Light, and it's an absolute unit once again. It's free and it's easy to get, so it's on the list as it makes sense to pick it up before the final shape arrives. It is also receiving a 10% damage buff against minors in the final shape, so it will be even better. And honestly, it's just a great SMG. I absolutely love it. Do yourselves a favour and go and get it. Base stats are 15 impact, 40 range, 47 stability, 63 handling, 28 reload speed. We've also got a recoil direction of 100, so it's perfect. We've got a magazine of 36 as well. And the Recluse comes with some good traits. In the first column, you want either Repulsor Brace, Subsistence and Feeding Frenzy, and in the second column, you want Master of Arms, Frenzy and Destabilizing Rounds. Master of Arms being the best pick here, it is an absolute solid perk, as kills with any weapon improve this weapon's damage for a short time, and that increase is a whopping 15%. So please don't sleep on this. Farm for that perfect roll. You will not regret it. It will be an amazing addition, an amazing weapon to have going into the final shape. So this next weapon is one I absolutely love, especially for running higher tier activities like Grandmasters, and that is the Le Monarch Exotic Bow. It's such a good PvE weapon, guys, especially when dealing with lots of enemies and overload champs due to its exotic perk Poison Arrows. Now arrows fired quickly after a full draw become poison arrows. Precision hits with poison arrows stun the combatant and spread poison to nearby ones, and it's strong against overload champions. So you can really do damage with this, and that poison is great for debuffing enemies as well. You can get this over at the Exotic Archive in the tower as well. Bows are also receiving a 20% buff in damage to minors, making this even better. It's a favourite of mine, especially when I'm running Lost Sectors or GMs, and it's 100% worth having for the final shape. And the last energy weapon is Sunshot. This is a solar exotic hand cannon, and it's an absolute joy to use. Its exotic perk Sunburn is this weapon fires explosive rounds and highlights targets that take damage from Sunshot, and the exotic trait on this weapon is called Sunblast, and that's targets defeated with Sunshot explode in solar energy, scorching other nearby targets. And this makes this weapon even better to use. You can really lean into a solar build with this and start chaining explosions. The base stats of this are an impact of 80, range of 31, stability 40, handling 81, aim assist of 60, and we've got a recoil direction of 98, and we've got 12 rounds in the magazine. Now the Sunshot can be obtained by opening exotic engrams, so you're going to have to get farming, although I do respect that you're probably going to want to keep hold of the engrams due to the changes coming in the final shape. But honestly, it's worth taking that gamble. This is a really good weapon to have, especially for going into the final shape. And then moving into the heavy weapons slot, I have a few I really like and use quite a lot. So first up is the Hammerhead. Another old weapon brought back with Onslaught, and this Void machine gun is probably the best in the game right now. Like all Onslaught weapons, it's easy to obtain, and machine guns are getting a 7% damage buff to all of PvE, making this a certainty for the final shape. It has some good stats and perk combos as well. Reading the stats first, it's got an impact of 41, range of 60, stability of 60, handling of 50, We got a reload speed of 64, which isn't too bad, aim assist of 90, we got a recoil direction of 75, and we've got 60 in the magazine. So in terms of ideal combos, you're going to want either Rampage, Envious Assassin, or Rewind rounds in your first column, and Killing Tally or Onslaught in your second column. Target Lock, Desperate Measures, and Destabilizing rounds are also viable perks to have as well. Honestly guys, if there's one weapon worth grinding out, it's absolutely this. It's so nice to use, and obviously you can get some really good rolls with this as well. The perks are just amazing, the weapon's amazing, so do yourself a favour and get farming. And coming off the back of this, we have the Void Grenade Launcher Edge Transit. It is another returning weapon obtained through Onslaught, and as grenade launchers go, this is a must-have. It's really good at getting damage out quickly and has some solid rolls you'll 100% want. The base stats are blast radius of 50, velocity of 32, stability of 42, and handling of 42. Got reload speed of 39, with a recoil direction of 70, and we've got 6 in the magazine. As for perks, in the first column, you'll want Envious Assassin, as you can get more ammo in the mag. Cascade points, you can get increased fire rate or auto-loading holster to save on reloading. And in the last column, the main perk is Bait and Switch. If you can get used to this, it's fantastic, as you can get a whopping 30% extra DPS. Just deal damage with your other weapons before switching. You could also go with Explosive Light, but you'll be relying on orbs for more damage. And at a boss phase, I don't know if you're going to be on the floor looking around for orbs, so Bait and Switch is definitely the play here. Next is the Falling Guillotine. Now this sword is in the World Weapon Pool, or you can get it from Onslaught. I have a tasty roll already, but Onslaught is a surefire way to get your hands on it. Swords are getting a 7% damage buff as well, which sweetens the deal. Falling Guillotine has some great combos, and the base stats are as follows. We've got a swing speed of 40, impact of 60, and range of 40. Ammo capacity is 59, magazine is 46. Charge rate and charge time both being 20. In terms of perks, in the first column, you'll want one of Frenzy for that extra damage. As you'll be up real close, it wouldn't be hard to proc. Vorpal for that extra boss damage, or Relentless Strikes for some extra sword ammo. In the last column, Eager Edge is the only play here, as you gain increased lunge after switching to the weapon. Again, it's not going to be hard to get because of Onslaught. Into the Light has been such a great update for people that may be lacking in loot. Just play Onslaught and you're guaranteed to get the roll. You can also do the bounty over at our site as well to make sure to get your curated roll as well, which isn't too bad. Crux Termination is next on the list. It's a fantastic rocket launcher that can output good damage at a fast pace due to some good perk combos. This weapon is part of the World Loot Pool, so opening legendary engrams and ranking up with the Gunmaster whilst praying to the RNG gods are what you'll need to do here. The base stats are blast radius of 20, velocity of 72, which is great, stability of 23, handling 17, reload speed of 57. We've also got a recoil direction of 80, and it holds 1 in the magazine. Having a high velocity from the get-go is why I enjoy using this weapon. In terms of trait combos, you have a few here. In column 1, you'll want any of Reconstruction, which will reload your weapon over time up to double capacity. Clown Cartridge, which randomly overfills the mag. And in the second column, you'll want Explosive Light, where picking up orbs increases the next rocket's damage and blast radius, or Bipod, which increases rocket ammo and reserves. It's a great weapon to have in the final shape, definitely one worth trying to get. It shouldn't be too hard to get with the amount of legendary engrams that drop. Definitely one of the better legendary rocket launchers in the game. The Taipan is next on the list. I've been using this for a while now, and when used right, its damage output is great. This is another weapon in the World Loot Pool, so you'll get it by cashing in engrams, leveling up the gunsmith, doing all the ritual activities like strikes, legendary lost sectors and stuff like that, so you will not be hard pressed to get one drop. The base stats of this are 41 impact, 48 range, stability 43, handling 36. We've got a recoil direction of 69 and a magazine of 5. And the traits you'll want for this, for the first column, are Triple Tap, which will return rounds to the mag upon precision hits, Clown Cartridge to get that mag refill, and Field Prep, which is good for static boss damage as you get increased ammo reserves and faster reload when crouching. In the second column, you'll want Firing Line as you get increased damage when you're near 2 or more allies. Frenzy, which gives another damage increase when you've been in combat for an extended time, and Focus Fury, which gives another damage increase when you've dealt half of the mag as precision hits. Linear Fusions have also received a 5% buff in damage to all of PvE, making this weapon another good choice.
And last on the list, I have Whisper of the Worm. And I have to say, this exotic sniper is great. This can be obtained by completing the exotic mission, the Whisper, which is free with Into the Light, and it can be crafted as well, so there's no excuses not to get this. This sniper is a DPS machine, and this is due to its exotic perk White Now, and this is higher base precision damage. Rapidly landing 3 position hits will refill the magazine. With the perk Mulligan backing it up, which is missing a shot has a chance to return ammo directly to the magazine. This makes for some solid DPS output if you can hit your crits, and you'll be there for literal days just firing at the boss, and you can really get some great damage with this. The base stats on this weapon are impact 100, range 75, stability 15, handling 28. We've got an aim assist of 39 with a recoil direction of 74, and we've got a magazine of 3. And in terms of traits, I'd definitely go for Mulligan or Field Prep in the first column, and Fitted Stock and Handlaid Stock in the second column, and this can be crafted so you can get even better versions of those. Honestly, the Whisper is a great choice for DPS, and with the Legend Story mode, it will no doubt come in handy against the tanky bosses in the final shape. But guys, I just want to say the second half of this video, if you've noticed that my voice doesn't sound too great, it's because it isn't. I'm only just recovering from laryngitis, which is why the video is out later than I wanted to, but I'm still here doing it, so that's the reason why. But if you have stuck around until the end, thank you so much. If you haven't already, hit that like button. It does help the channel and the video out massively. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button as well for more Destiny 2 content. But as always, take care guys, and I'll see you on the next video.